Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Sees the World. Today we'd like to talk about which one is more important in our daily life. Is blood thicker than water or interest as priority? In China, the 7-step poem by Cao Zhi has been very well known. It is said, when Cao Pi succeeded as emperor of the state of Wei, he was very jealous of his talented young brother Cao Zhi and ordered him to finish writing a poem within 7 steps. Otherwise, he would be severely punished. After a while, Cao Zhi made a poem themed in beans and beanstalk as follows. The beanstalks burned to boil the beans, who were weeping in a pot. From the same root we both were greens. Now why so eager to heat the water hot? After hearing this, Cao Pi got ashamed of himself and released his younger brother. In 1941, during the cooperation between Chinese nationalists and the communists against Japanese aggression, happened the infamous Wannan incident. That the new Fourth Army under communist leadership were ambushed by the nationalists in troop relocating. As soon as Zhou Enlai got the news, he was very angry and rebuked. Such a big tragedy in some parts of South Yangtze River. We live as the same family. Why were you so eager to hurt each other? From all these stories, it can be seen that between brothers, it should be like the 4 limbs of your body or all the fingers of your hands. The blood should be thicker than water. They can't be indifferent to each other, nor engaged in discord, neither to hurt. In fact, the people in the Western countries also know the teaching of blood is thicker than water. In June 1859, during the Second Opium War at Dagukou, Tianjin, British and French troops tried to break into China's inner river to Beijing and to force Chinese government to ratify the exchange agreement. Chinese army built up the fortress and more cannons on both sides of the river, and also more barriers and water to block the intrusion. During the following crossfire, Chinese seriously destroyed and sunk 4 British gunboats and wounded its British Commodore Sir James Hope. Nearby the battlefield, the U.S. Fleet Commodore Josiah Tatnor were escorting U.S. Ambassador Ward to Beijing. British Navy asked the Americans for help, and Tatnor answered, "Blood is thicker than water. Americans won't abandon the British." After getting permission from the ambassador, the American Navy joined the war and fired to Chinese army for covering British withdrawal. During the battle, the helmsman of U.S. gunboat was hit and killed by Chinese gunfire. In aftermath, Chinese government blamed the Americans for violating its neutrality status as is proclaimed. What Tatnall said, blood is thicker than water, means Americans and the British both were Anglo-Saxons who came from the same root, and they were cousins and blood related. When they had clashes with someone else, like the Chinese, that are nothing blood related, Americans would naturally give a hand to the British. Before American independence, the 13 colonies were parts of British Empire. When 1753 and 1755, George Washington, who was in his 20s, fought twice in Ohio Territory as a British Virginia major and lieutenant colonel against the French armies from Canada, which were the kind of blood is thicker than water. But during the Independence War, Americans and the British became enemies, and their relations changed to the blood thicker than water, to the struggles of independence and the Trader Revolt. To the same, after American independence, the South and the North differed in their belief and ideology about development and the issue of union and confederate. And during the 1861 to 1865 occurred the only one civil war in American history and caused tremendous casualties of 600,000 soldiers of both sides, which was a killing between brothers, nothing like a blood thicker than water. Luckily, the President Lincoln abolished the slavery and maintained the unification of the United States of America. Japanese invaded China in 1937 and planned to take it all over. And China began its 8-year anti-Japanese war, with the nationalists and the communists ended their civil war since 1927. They stood together as a national united resistance against Japanese aggression. They revealed the spirit that the blood is thicker than water, though sometimes the clashes happen, like the Wan'an incident. In 1945, after Japanese surrender, China's domestic situation and party strifes once again became the focus. As to whether peaceful national build-up or by all parts, or engaging another round of civil war for dictatorship, the hawks in nationalist government depended on American assistance and weapons, proclaimed to wipe out within 3 months the communist army with limited equipment. Within the following 3-year civil war, the initially arrogant nationalists were defeated and had to withdraw to Taiwan, resulting in today's status quo of separation. In Chinese culture, there is a popular legend story of Kong Rong gave away a big pear, but mostly what we know is internal strife, vying each other for supremacy, tyranny, or dictatorship. Just like saying, mostly ruthless is the imperial family, for there is nothing personal there. In China's first reunified dynasty, after the Emperor Qin Shi Huang's death, and his youngest son Hu Hai succeeded to the throne by conspiracy with the help of the audacious Zhao Gao. His atrocity of killing his elder brother Fu Su and the general Meng Tian that aroused a popular anger and opposition from the people, and his empire very soon collapsed. At the beginning of the Han Dynasty, the Seven Kingdom Revolt, due to the power centralization policy, was actually imperial domestic strife for a throne. The Emperor Tang Taizong was a great emperor in Chinese history, yet he also took power by mutiny, in which his elder brother, the crown prince, and his younger brother both were killed. The bloody killing among brothers made him suffer from the nightmare, and he had to order 2 of his generals, named Qin Shubao and Yu Chi Jingde, as his bodyguard, standing outside his bedroom. Since then originated the legend and a tradition of Chinese posting door guard protection at Spring Festival. Another popular story is about the possible murdering of Emperor Song Taizu by his younger brother, which was not officially recorded. In Ming Dynasty, the Emperor Ming Chengzu Zhu Di relocated the capital to Beijing, finished the Yongle Great Encyclopedia, and then ordered Zheng He to navigate to the West Oceans for 7 times. Yet all these accomplishments could not deny the fact that he had upheld rebellion and grabbed the power from his nephew. During the reign of Emperor Kangxi, and none of his sons craved for the crown. And finally, his first son, Yongzheng, succeeded. Some of his rival brothers were put in prison, exiled. From all these cruelties and greed, it can be seen that before interests, the blood relations and the brotherhood turned to be less important. Now let's turn to the Russia-Ukraine clash that lasted for 10 months. Ukrainians and Russians are both East Slavs, originated from the Kievan Rus, and also called the Small Russia and Big Russia, with the same rule and blood related closely. In history, they merged together and divided for several times, and for the past 3 centuries, they both belong to the Imperial Russia and then to the Soviet Union. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine and Russia became the 2 sovereign countries. NATO kept on expanding to the east, and Ukraine gradually inclined to the European Union and America, which worsened the relations with Russia and finally resulted in military clashes and wars. Russia didn't perform very well as a big power so far. Yet Ukraine must have been in bigger crisis rather than the optimism and success as Zelensky proclaimed. The blood relations between Russian and the Ukrainians should be much more closer than those to the West. It invoked the national interests, and how to identify this interest are the key issue. That's the issue of mainland China and Taiwan, who connected closely in history and culture, and actually from the same family, a typical blood seeker than water, than the Taiwan Strait. The disputes among political parties should not disregard the fact that China was divided and ruled separately. People's Republic of China and the Republic of China have never been 2 different countries. The separation of Taiwan Strait is a leftover of the past and also our status quo of current situation. 2 systems within one country and peaceful reunification mostly conform to the long-term Chinese national interests. If Taiwan goes too far in proclaiming independence, then surely war will begin. And with homes and peace destroyed and a large amount of casualties unavoidable. Such homicide is a tragedy to mainland China and also to the people in Taiwan. Today's Russia and Ukraine war is a good lesson. In fact, blood is thicker than water is the maximum of interest. As Chinese saying, brothers might disagree at home, but they should stand together against others. There is always difference between internals and externals. To avoid being taken advantage by someone with hidden agenda. It has been mostly believed as the saying, when the mantis stalks the cicada, it forgets the orioles stands behind. That you can't overlook the great danger just for marginal gains. The sandpiper and the clam fight each other. The fisherman catches them both. The neighbors that cannot agree that lose out to the third party. It should be always kept in mind that national interests and territorial integrity and people's welfare, and to divert the war to peace, confrontation to harmony, both come from the same root. Why hurt each other so eager? The Chinese people should try to avoid any further civil wars, as many miseries and tragedies had happened before in history, which should be a good lesson and never repeat again. Above is today's topic. Thanks for your joining in, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.